What's up everybody, this is Broskadamus, and welcome back to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance X. In this episode, we're going to be covering White Flowers, the mission we were going to do last episode until we ran into another clan. But in the end, that's okay, because we're going to be covering some of these clan versus clan engagements from time to time as we continue along the campaign, just so we get an idea of how they may have changed. And I'll probably grind on some of them off camera to get closer to the more specialized jobs. Speaking of specialized jobs, we're going to be jumping into those specialized jobs in this episode. You'll see in the background me messing around with some of the jobs we've opened up, most notably the human jobs, Paladin and Fighter. And I'm kind of just looking through here trying to decide what I want to make Marsh. In the end, I decide I'm going to make Marsh a Paladin. That's not set in stone, but it's what I'm going with right now, so if anybody has any suggestions, let me know. As far as Yave goes, I haven't decided. At this point, I'm going Fighter. Whether that's set in stone or not is really up to anybody who has any suggestions. It's not really all that important to me what he becomes, but I'm trying to do some things that are different, whereas when I originally played the base game, I made Marsh a fighter ninja with double sword and it was broken as all hell. Though, base game's not hard to make broken as all hell builds, so not a big surprise. Now, I'm going to start using some of our other units, I think, in the background here, and bring them more to the foreground. I'm going to try to specialize a few in either, well, as far as the human goes, I'm going to specialize him in a blue mage, because when I originally played this game, I didn't really get to use a blue mage as I made him fairly late and really never utilized him. So I figured, what the hell, let's make one and use him in this and see if he's changed any, if he's been made any better by this mod, or if he's about the same, because from what I understand, they're pretty good in the base game. So we'll see. And I don't know if you can hear that clicking. That is the rabbit deciding to drink again when I record. He does that a lot. So if you can hear that, apologies. Shouldn't be too bad with editing. And here's Marsh as a paladin. Figuring that we're going to be bringing Marsh to most of the missions anyway, I might as well make him a utility tank. From what I understand, Holy Sword isn't great right now in this mod. I mean, I don't know if it was that great in base game, but I believe it was incredibly powerful, even though it cost a lot of mana to use. When it comes to this mod, from what I understand, is its damage has been normalized, but it still costs an assload of mana. So I'm not sure if it's the best ability. I mean, I'll be picking it up if I continue along as the Paladin, and we'll find out. So I think I'll continue on with him as a Paladin, and then if there's no suggestions or desires for various things for Yave, I'll make him a fighter and then go from there. When it comes to Colette, I'm just going to continue as a into Sniper from Archer. I might go Archer Sniper and have Archer abilities and Sniper abilities and use her as utility damage dealer. If there's any other specific desires for that, please let me know, but I would rather specialize a different Viera into, say, an Assassin, if Assassin's still in this one. I can't recall. I believe it is, but I believe it's been toned down a little bit as it was incredibly strong. At the moment, I do not have a sniper bow for Colette, so I can't use her as a sniper yet. So in response to that, I end up not bringing her on the mission. Obviously you'll see that later, but just as a heads up, I end up not bringing her on the mission, and I tone back my control abilities by losing her a little bit, but that's okay. I really do like snipers, and we'll see how much they've changed in this mod when I am able to start using her. Right now I'm a little low on funds, can't buy a lot of weapons. With hindsight, definitely should have saved more money on the last couple of missions in order to start buying these specialized items, but in the long run, not a big deal. I'm going to be doing some grinding off camera, I believe, just to make sure I can start specializing in the jobs a little bit sooner. Probably do that within the next 3 or 4 missions, I think, when we start to get more into the clan stuff. I'll do a lot of the clan stuff off camera when it doesn't involve an actual mission and when it doesn't involve something related to a major clan event. So when it comes to magician-like classes, casters, I think I'm going to go with Edmund here as my animist and see if I can specialize him into something specific, as I prefer the new Mao as my casters. They just scale better. I could be mistaken when it comes to the animist particularly, as it's kind of an odd caster, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Now we're going to go moving cautiously to the Giza Plains and into White Flowers. But first, saving. Forgot to save in the last mission, as you can see. Let's go. Now we're back to fighting monsters. It's kind of a refreshing change. Been fighting a lot of humanoid enemies lately. So we're going to be facing 3 ants. I call them ants. Antleons, I believe, is what they're actually called. You'll have to forgive me for the pronunciation, though, if that's incorrect. I'm not well versed in the Final Fantasy universe. This base game of this was actually my first Final Fantasy game. I'm not real big on Final Fantasy usually, but these kind of games I love, and this game fit me well. So I'm going to continue to call them ants. That might upset some people, or it might upset them more if I tried to pronounce the actual pronunciation. But we're fighting 3 ants and 2 goblins, a blue and a red. The blue, I figured, was going to be our most dangerous. That seems to be the usual path of things, but you'll see here in a moment as we go back to our usual checking abilities before the actual battle starts. Now that I'm not afraid of it crashing anymore, though it could still happen, but we'll know, and I might as well be the one to find out. So we're going to be bringing Darcy here, our white mage, as always. I don't like to go anywhere without the white mage. And I'm taking a look, seeing if there's any specializations I may have missed, and there is not. I think I'm going to keep Darcy, our white mage, as a pure white mage, unless there's something I can find along the way to supplement, but for now, I'm going to remain a white mage. We're going to bring Diesel for the AoE. We're going to bring Edmund in on this one, as he's going to be our control with sheep count. Now, I'm trying to decide if I should bring a white monk. I do eventually decide against it. When it comes to, I believe it's Lucas, is our level 5. When it comes to Lucas, yep, there he is. I'm thinking I might make him a warrior, since he spent some time as a warrior on the first few missions, rather than a white monk, and we have a higher level white monk already, so that one is committed. Loki, I believe it is committed to our actual white monk archetype, so we can actually focus on him being our white monk, and try out a few things with the warrior, and see if I can transition him in. I believe there's a white monk and warrior ability requirement to go into a specialization. I think it's the Templar, don't quote me. It's been a long time. But I believe that's what it is, and I love the Templar, so I would love to get into one of those quickly, without sacrificing too many stat growths in messing around trying to get the specialized job. I do decide to bring Oscar here. He's going to be our blue mage later, and I'm going to outfit him here. I didn't plan to bring him initially. Maybe it would help if I could talk. I didn't plan to bring him initially, but I decided on the fly that we should probably start building out some of our secondary characters. Been using kind of an A-team mentality, and I don't really like it. I don't like doing that usually. So you'll have to forgive me if I sound tired. It's late. It's very late. It's probably 4:30 in the morning right now. 4:40 in the morning right now. I'm still on a night schedule, so my schedule's a little bit wonky. So I definitely forgot that the goblins were so quick. They're definitely a fast enemy, and they got to act first. Though, to be fair, I didn't bring an archer. I believe Colette would have gone first. And that's a great start. So it definitely is the blue one that's the most dangerous, with that goblin punch taking down Diesel in one hit, but that's why we bring our white mage. Now the attrition battle's in our favor with life, and that's why I will always bring a white mage when I can. There's very few times that I will not bring one. So now, as we check some of the statuses here, our red cap has magic hammer. Annoying, but not nearly as annoying as goblin punch. As you can see here, I'm much more afraid of goblin punch. So we'll have to deal with him first, and that is my ultimate goal, as none of these ants have any special abilities, which was quite a relief actually. I expected to be facing a lot more, actually. And their movement isn't great, so I've got a turn or two before they're on top of me. So I can take those 2 initial turns to act against the faster goblins and either speed break them or control them or both. So that's what we're going to be doing. As we check our turn order, we're going to be getting the ants all have their turn coming up. And we're going to take action against the red cap here. We're going to try to put him to sleep. Successfully. It's a great start. We're starting out in control in the faster characters already before the ants get their turn, which is excellent. So our first ant will get a turn following Marsh. So I can use Marsh to either speed break the slept goblin or attempt a facing speed break on our blue cap. Not too keen on that. 50% chance to hit against a 100% chance to slow down the goblin who is asleep, and I wasn't able to get on his side. But speed breaking the slept goblin, having to face down the other goblin, I feel was a better choice. Having a speed broken and slept goblin, I feel, is more valuable, because he will be asleep for a long time, and I am always happy about that. Also, adding to the usefulness, I can flank with Yave, and he's able to get the speed break as well. So overall, pretty efficient, especially since the ants technically haven't got to us yet, but they will be getting to us now that I've moved into their range. And they decided to teach me a lesson for underestimating them because of how slow they are. But that's only one ant in range, rather than all of them on top of us. So now Oscar's got his turn. He's got basic spells from Black Magic, and I really wish I could hit them both. But there's just no angle I can take to be able to land both hits without targeting a friendly. And I cannot afford to attack Yave in this matter, just because he's already been hit for a 60 crit. He's a tough guy, but if that goblin gets his turn before I can get Yave healed or deal with that goblin, he's not going to last much longer. Even though we do have a revive, I'd rather not go into sandbag mode just yet, if I can help it. I prefer control rather than raw damage, which is why probably I like this mod so much. So I have to settle on attacking just the single target, the more likely to strike single target, which is our ant. And that's a good hit. 42 is a lot of damage. I'd rather deal some damage than no damage in this opportunity. And the same idea goes for Diesel and his single target attack, which is more suited for this. 58, also a good hit. So that ant is in trouble, and if opportunity arises, I will knock him out of the fight. Even though he's not our most pressing matter, he's not slowed, and bringing down an enemy I feel is more useful than trying to continue to control this goblin as he's already been slowed. The best part about being able to sleep the red cap is I don't have to worry about him for quite some time. Now the ants have reached us, but we are somewhat in control. And with that realization, they don't actually do a whole lot of damage. So that makes me a little more comfortable in what's happening here. And as you can see, that speed break on that goblin was huge. He still hasn't got his second turn. There he is. But he follows Oscar getting another turn, Yve, and my white mage, so I can save Yve before he gets his turn, assuming he doesn't get a big massive hit like the last goblin punch. So we're going to keep using Edmund here to attempt to control the ant with the next turn. And that would be this middle ant here. So I want to try to get into the best position to put him to sleep. And we were able to flank. And we got it. This is a little bit risky because it does expose Edmund out in the open. If he had missed, there may have been a problem because he was already wounded. He might have gone down. So the chance paid off. We're able to pull off the sleep. And we have 4 more turns before another ant gets a turn, and then Oscar, and then the blue cap can take his turn. If we haven't managed to deal with him or solidify our defenses by the time his move comes, we deserve to get beat on. We got plenty of time, especially since our healer's coming up, and the person in most danger from him is able to move. So we're in good shape. So now I'm trying to decide if I should land a speed break or if I should power break the goblin. I decide that the speed break is probably more worthwhile, but I don't appear to want to give up having to damage. I was testing Parlay here to see if I can get rid of the ant, but it only works on humanoid characters, unfortunately. But I really want to remove this ant, but I don't want to use it on Marsh's turn. Now, this is taking a little bit of risk, that more so than you need to. You could spend more turns attempting to kill that ant and be safer. But I decide to take the utility route and go for a speed break on the ant, whose turn is coming up. Just spreading out the speed breaks on all the team to try to double up our speed for our units. Eventually we'll start getting double turns with everybody. And we're already approaching that, to be completely honest. And we're going to go for the... Well, this was actually a little more difficult in decision-wise than I thought when I was thinking about it. I figured, well, I could do double damage, and that would probably be worth it. Did about exactly what I expected to do. I thought maybe I could do more damage to the other ant, but that might spread my damage out too much. Either way, I was going to use one of those black mages to destroy that ant. If it came to Oscar, I would have used Oscar to eliminate the ant, which comes to the point that if I had spent more turns on the ant, it would have been safer, though not as efficient. This method was definitely more efficient, but a little more risky. So now that the blue cap here is going to get his turn, I decide to just dish some damage to him. And it levels up Yve. Now we have Oscar. Oscar's not really needed for anything vital at this point, so I'm able to just deal some damage. 43 damage, pretty good. Now I'm going to continue to face him and brace for their turn. I was also hoping that if I faced away there, and we do get a lucky miss, if I faced away there that if he was going to Goblin Punch, he'd go after Oscar, who's my generally least worthwhile character at this point, considering how we've controlled their numbers quite a bit. And nobody's bunched up. Nobody I want to hit, at least. I don't want to hit that red cap, he's fast asleep. So at this point, there's actually not a whole lot that I need to do with Edmund. I could definitely put something to sleep. I could strike something with his trumpet, and I do choose to try to put that ant to sleep. And we miss, finally. I mean, we've landed all of our sleeps up until this point, so I can't be upset about a condition that we have almost complete control over, and the sleep fails, so it's okay. Now we're going to continue to damage the blue cap, and make sure that we leave room and opportunity to strike him with as much damage as possible, because if we can bring him down, we have complete control of this battle. And he's brought to kneeling. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring him down as quickly as I wanted to, but I was able to make sure that the heals were received by everybody who needed them. And I do choose to move Oscar, unfortunately, who could not quite reach a flanking position. But Yve is going to get another turn, and with this in mind, I'm trying to decide if I want to lay an attack on the ant or the goblin. Not the slept goblin, mind you, but the blue cap. And I settle on the ant just for guaranteed damage, and it puts him to low health. Now, Yve is not going to be able to do anything, but I do choose to use this turn to move him. And while I'm at it, I decide that since the goblin's going to get another turn, I don't remember if Goblin Punch is magic or not, so I use a magic break. More than anything, it wouldn't really matter whether he actually did anything or not, so I went for an attack for XP's sake, really. And nobody can seem to hit Edmund, which I'm fine with, considering he's half health, roughly. I am totally fine with him not being able to be hit. If he can continue to do that, he will be one of my best characters. And he can also continue to beat things to death with his trumpet. Which, now thinking about the context that I put that in, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I immediately regret saying that now because it sounded overtly sexual. So, ignoring that, let's bring down the blue cap. And I don't use my usual combo guarantee just simply because I had so many more turns with everyone else that there was no way. Well, maybe there's a slight way that he wouldn't go down, but there's no logical, reasonable way that he wouldn't go down with how many turns I had. That goes along with the comment I made the other time, similar to this, that if he was able to take us all down and make me look bad, I'd go stop doing YouTube and walk off into traffic. I guess this is one of those situations as well, but this one was a little less cocky of me than the last one. And our ant is awake. But again, not giving him much room. He does do quite a bit of damage, but not enough to bring Oscar to critical. And Oscar immediately gets his turn afterwards. So we're going to flank. And since the other goblin, who would normally be more dangerous in this instance, is still asleep, we're able to take on the ant solo. And another good hit. Black Mage is definitely hit hard as fuck. I'm really liking them. In the base game, I did not like them that much. I don't remember them doing this much damage. But maybe it's just because I never really used them that much or built them for damage. Ah, you dick. I remember that now, you absolute dick. You blocked my flank. Judges are such dicks with their dead body or unconscious body movement. What an asshole. We did have another flank, thank God, though. But it's such a pain in the ass. Fucking judges. Judges and their moving bodies in my way, or moving bodies away from me, so I can't defend myself properly. And as you can see from checking that status, there is so many of our turns before that goblin is waking up that I'm not worried at all. And since his turn is coming up for good measure and safety, I speed break him since I don't believe he was speed broken before. So considering the situation we're in, it wasn't overly necessary to speed break him, but in the long run, why take too many chances? I was already a little loose at the beginning here, taking some chances to try to control before the ants got there, and they worked out, but it might not always work out, so don't take chances you don't have to make, or take. Again, apologies if my speech is a little bit off, I'm very tired. Even if I'm on night schedule, you're still tired at night, it doesn't matter. Alright, one enemy left, and we all have numerous turns before he's going to wake up, so we get plenty of time to make our way to his position and get into the best position we possibly can when we do wake him up. He's not benign by any means, but we definitely have the numbers, so we don't have to be in like a perfect testudo formation or anything. We are going to soften him up a little bit with Power Break, mostly because I'm in range and why not. And he's going to be able to fight back a little bit, and there's no reason to risk anything. Making sure I'm picking the right one, because I always mix those two up. Not sure why. But for safety's sake, throwing a few protects, earning some more XP. And opening up. Yeah, that's a good opening. Crit right to the face, knocking him into the water. Know your place, Goblin. And he moves some more bodies around, but this time he's not so much of a dick. Now we can just... Here's me with wishful thinking. Huh, lightning damage. He's in the water. I wish. I wish. Now we can just take up positions and deal with the solitary goblin. I do decide to just wait. There's no reason to try to sleep him at this point. Could have, for optimal safety, but it's not really necessary. And considering he's attacking my protected units, I'm not overly worried. But in any case, that does it for white flowers. Not much left to say, not an overly difficult mission, but not something that you can turn off your brain and run into, as those goblins will mess you up with how fast they are, but with the overpower of Speed Break, you can win. That'll do it for me. And I'm glad you guys stuck around and watched the whole video. These videos are pretty long, I understand. So, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.